Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Excited to be here.
Today we're going to be looking at something that I think is pretty relatable to just about everybody.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about friendship
Ooh.
and family structures.
Okay.
And what makes this really interesting is we're actually pulling from an English language learning podcast as our source material.
It's a twofer.
Yeah.
We're learning about relationships
Yeah.
and how to talk about them in another language.
Yeah.
I love it.
So in this podcast, we've got two friends, Ronica and Robin, just having a conversation. And Ronica starts off with something that I think we've all thought about at one point or another in our lives.
Okay.
She's like, how do you really know
Right.
if you have true friends?
Yeah, like who are your real friends?
Yeah, are these really my people?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know,
That's such a human question.
it is.
You know, we're social creatures, like we need to connect.
We do.
But figuring out who really gets us,
yeah,
that's the hard part.
that's the hard part. And I love that they use this analogy in the podcast.
Okay.
They compare having a shrew best friend to winning the lottery.
Oh, wow.
Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it does kind of say something about how rare it is,
Yeah.
but also like how valuable those connections are.
Uh-huh.
You know, and there's actually research
Oh, really?
that shows that close friendships are so good for you.
Interesting.
Like they're linked to better mental and physical health.
wow. So it's not just like a,
Right. It's not just in your head.
yeah, feel-good thing.
Yeah.
It's like actually,
It's like having this built-in support system
right.
to help you through all the ups and downs.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, so then Ronica talks about sometimes she feels misunderstood.
Okay.
And she says it's like speaking a different language.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens in a lot of relationships, not just friendships.
Oh, absolutely.
Even when you love somebody and you really care about them,
Yeah.
sometimes
You're not speaking the same language.
you're not speaking the same language.
Even if you're literally speaking the same language, it's
Yeah.
like our experiences and our personalities
Mm-hmm.
and the way we communicate
Yeah.
can like create these invisible barriers.
Right.
You know, and it makes me think about this one time
Who's story time?
with a close friend years ago.
Okay.
We were both going through a tough time,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and I'm someone who kind of processes things internally.
Okay.
Like I withdraw a bit,
Yeah.
but my friend thrives on open communication.
Oh.
So she took my silence.
As a bad sign.
Yeah. As me not caring.
Even though you did.
Exactly.
Ouch.
Yeah. And it took a lot of honest conversation
I bet.
and trying to understand each other's communication styles
Right.
to like repair that rift.
So that's part of being a true friend too.
I think so.
Is being mindful of
Yes.
how they communicate.
Communication is key.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the things that
Uh-huh.
actually like make a true friend?
So the podcast,
Yeah.
they talk about a few really important things,
Okay.
like always showing up for each other,
Okay.
being supportive,
Mm-hmm.
accepting each other unconditionally,
No judgment.
no judgment.
Okay.
And I think that creates this like anchor effect
Anchor effect.
that they talk about. Like you have this
Ah.
safe harbor,
Yeah.
you know, no matter what's happening.
I love that.
Yeah.
What about that instant connection? Have you ever like
Mm.
met somebody?
I mean, like where you just click.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh.
I think we've all had those moments
Yeah.
where the conversation just flows,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I'd call it instant connection.
Okay.
You know, real
Mhm.
connection takes time.
Yeah.
It's about sharing experiences,
Yeah.
being vulnerable.
Like we were just talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, having similar values.
Right. So it's more than just liking the same music or something.
Yeah, it's got to be deeper than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so then they kind of shift gears a little bit in the podcast and they start talking about family.
Which makes sense.
Right.
Because family is like our first experience of
Right.
belonging.
Yeah. That's where we learn how to do relationships.
Exactly.
So they talk about two main types of family structures.
Okay.
Nuclear families.
Okay.
So that's typically parents and their children.
Yeah.
And then joint families,
Okay.
which is where you have extended family.
Oh, so like grandparents and aunts and uncles
All living together.
living all together.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, one of the friends, Robin, lives in a joint family.
Interesting.
So she shares her perspective on that.
You know, I think these different structures
Yeah.
really reflect like bigger cultural values.
Oh, interesting.
So cultures that are more individualistic
Okay.
might like the nuclear family model,
Okay.
and cultures that are more about the collective good
Mm-hmm.
might be more towards joint families.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so she talks about some of the good things about joint families, like always having a built-in support system,
Right, Gabe?
always having people to rely on,
Yeah.
sharing, the joys and the sorrows together.
It sounds kind of idyllic.
It does sound
Feels
very
extreme.
tight-knit and supportive.
Yeah.
But of course, there's two sides to every coin.
Right.
So she also talks about some of the downsides,
Right.
like sometimes feeling crowded,
Yeah.
not having a lot of privacy,
Oh, I can imagine.
and just potential for conflict.
Well, yeah, when you have that many people
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
one roof,
Yeah, bump heads.
bound to happen.
But it makes you wonder, is that because of all the people?
Is it just about the number of people?
Or is it just like, that's going to happen?
Or is there something about that structure
Yeah.
that makes it more likely?
Right.
That's interesting.
So then they look at it from the other side.
So the nuclear families.
Yeah. And what are some of the good things about those?
Okay.
Well, she mentions peace,
Okay.
privacy,
Uh-huh.
and independence.
All right, so you can make your own choices.
Yeah, chart your own course.
Yeah.
Which I think for a lot of us sounds really appealing.
It does.
But then, of course, there's the other side to that, too.
Yeah.
Where, you might feel lonely,
Right.
isolated.
Or like you don't have enough support
Yeah.
when things get tough.
And I wonder if that's even more of a thing now.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are so spread out.
People move around more.
Yeah.
And we don't have those tight-knit communities
Like we used to.
as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so it really shows that there's no perfect
Right.
one-size-fits-all of the family.
It depends on what works for you.
Yeah, it really depends on your personality, your needs,
Your values.
all of that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. They really focus on like the pros and cons.
The practical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of each one.
But I wonder if there's another way to think about it.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, what if we go beyond just the practical?
Okay.
What about like the emotional side, the spiritual side of family?
Okay.
Those bonds,
Right.
that history.
That unconditional love.
Yeah, does that go beyond the structure?
Oh, whoa. So it's not just like
Yeah.
who lives where.
Yeah,
It's
it's about the quality of those connections.
Yeah.
The sense of belonging,
right.
whether it's your family or your friends.
So it's more about how you feel
Yes.
than like the logistics.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
a good way to think about it.
So we shouldn't just be thinking about like, is this better or worse?
Right.
We should be asking ourselves,
Yeah.
where do I feel that sense of belonging?
I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
that's something to think about.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to...
We've run out of time.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there for today.
Oh, darn it.
But we will be back
We'll be back
to talk about all this more.
to dive deeper.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Okay, so we were just talking about this whole idea of, feeling that sense of belonging.
Yes.
And I think that actually ties back to what we were talking about earlier with friendship, too.
Right.
It's like we're creating our own chosen families.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like we have our families we're born into.
Right.
But then we create these other families through our friendships.
Our chosen people.
Exactly.
And it made me think about how Ronica was saying she felt misunderstood.
Yeah.
Like she was speaking a different language.
Right.
And I just thought it was so interesting that this is literally an English language learning podcast.
It's so meta.
I know.
It's like they're commenting on communication
Yeah.
while teaching you how to communicate in another language.
Like, oh, we all speak different languages.
We do.
Even when we speak the same language.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
And learning a new language,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about like the words.
Right.
It's about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like the cultural nuances, the unspoken rules.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to crack a code.
Yeah, it's like a secret language.
Yeah.
And that can be hard even when you are speaking the same language.
A code.
Let
right.
alone when you're trying to learn a whole other language.
Yeah. And even native speakers
Really?
can misinterpret each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like you might say one thing,
Uh-huh.
but the other person hears something completely different.
Because they're bringing all their own baggage.
Yeah, all their own stuff.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
So I think that shows just how important it is to be empathetic.
Yes.
And to really listen.
Active listening.
Yeah.
It's not just about hearing the words.
Right.
It's about understanding
Uh-huh.
what the other person is really trying to say.
Yeah, like what's behind the words.
Exactly.
So then they talk about this idea
What idea?
of finding your people.
Oh, yeah.
Like those people who just get you.
It's a powerful feeling.
It is.
Like you belong.
Yeah.
You found your tribe.
Exactly.
And I think that can happen in all sorts of places.
Like where?
Not just with family and friends.
Okay.
Like you could find your people at work
Uh-huh.
or through a hobby.
Right.
Or even online.
Right, like online communities.
Exactly.
It's like the internet has made it
Yeah.
easier in a way
It's expanded our options.
to find your people.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it shows that even with all the technology and stuff,
Yeah.
we still crave that connection.
We're humans.
Yeah, we need each other.
We do.
And that's this whole deep dive so interesting.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technicalities
Right.
of relationships.
It's about what it means to be human.
Exactly.
That's deep.
It is.
I like it.
So I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay, where are we going?
Let's talk about legacy. Because in a way,
Mm-hmm.
the connections we make today
Yeah.
shape our future.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
they influence the stories we tell, the values we live by,
Yeah.
and the impact we have on the world.
So it's like we're all part of this bigger story.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So what kind of legacy
Yeah.
do you want to leave behind?
Whoa.
That's a big question.
It is.
But it's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, what do you want people to remember you for?
Like, what mark do you want to make?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some grand thing.
Right.
It could be small acts of kindness
Mm-hmm.
or just being a good friend
Yeah.
or family member.
Those things matter.
They do.
It's like we're all connected.
We are.
In ways that we don't even realize.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it.
And it's interesting how different cultures
Oh, yeah.
view legacy.
Right.
Like some cultures are all about family
Yeah.
and respecting your elders,
Mhm.
while others are more about individual achievement.
So there's no one right way
Nope.
to think about legacy.
It depends on your culture,
Uh-huh.
your values.
Your beliefs, all of that.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
our podcast here,
Uh-huh.
it's just one perspective.
Right?
It's like looking through one little window
Okay.
into this vast world of cultures.
So we should be careful
Yes.
not to take this as the only truth.
Exactly.
That's just one piece of the puzzle.
And that's where you come in.
Me.
Yet you, the listener,
Okay.
you have to do your own exploring.
So I should be like researching
Yeah.
all the different cultures.
Learning about different perspectives.
Okay.
And forming your own conclusions.
So I'm not off the hook.
You're never off the hook.
Darn.
But it's fun.
It is fun.
So here's a question for you to ponder.
Okay. Hit me.
How do you think your own culture
Uh-huh.
has shaped your views on family and legacy?
Whoa.
Right?
That's a really good question.
It's something to think about.
It is.
You know, what are those invisible forces
Yeah.
that have shaped your beliefs?
That's deep.
It is deep.
I like it.
And it reminds us
Yeah.
that even though we're all human and we share a lot in common,
We do.
we also have these unique differences.
Because of our cultures.
Exactly.
And that's what makes life so interesting.
It does.
Okay, so I think we're ready to move on
You think so?
to the final part
Let's do it.
of our deep dive.
Where we get practical
Yes, practical tips.
for all this stuff.
Stay with us. Okay, so we've talked a lot about, friendship, family legacy, all these big ideas.
We have.
But now I want to know, like, what can we actually do?
Yeah. What are the takeaways?
Yeah, how do we put this into practice in our own lives?
Right. Like we can talk about it all day,
Yeah.
but how do we actually make those connections stronger?
Exactly. So let's start with friendship.
Okay.
What did we learn from the podcast?
Well, I think one of the biggest things was reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Like it's not enough to just expect our friends to be there for us.
Right.
We have to be good friends to them too.
Yeah, we got to show up for them.
Exactly.
Be a good listener.
Be a good listener.
Yeah, it's not about keeping score.
Right.
It's about being there for each other.
Yeah. Just because you care.
And it doesn't have to be big things.
It's often the little things.
Yeah, like what?
Remembering birthdays,
Oh, yeah.
sending a thoughtful text, offering to help.
Those things matter.
They do.
But I think that goes back to what we were saying before about communication styles.
Oh, yeah?
Because what you think is helpful
Right.
might not be helpful
Yeah. Or it might even be annoying.
to your friend.
Exactly.
So we got to be mindful of that.
Yeah. Like some people love hugs.
Uh-huh.
Other people hate them.
Right. So it's about knowing your friend and
Yeah.
what they need.
On how they communicate.
Speaking of communication,
Yeah.
they also talked about being vulnerable,
Oh, yeah. That's so important.
like letting your guard down.
Yeah. Being your true self.
But that can be scary.
It can be.
Like, what if they don't like the real you?
That's the fear, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's where real connection happens.
Yeah.
When you let people see the real you,
Flaws and all.
flaws and all,
Yeah.
and you know it can be contagious.
Contagious?
Like when you're vulnerable to someone,
Uh-huh.
it gives them permission to be vulnerable too.
And then you build that trust.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about family now.
Okay.
One thing that really stuck with me
Yeah.
was that there's no right way to be a family.
There isn't.
Like, whatever works for you.
Yeah. Nuclear joint chosen blended.
As long as there's love
Yeah. And connection.
and support.
That's what matters.
Right.
And families change.
They do.
Kids grow up.
People move,
Circumstances change.
so we got to be flexible.
Yes, and adaptable.
I'm
Work through the challenges together.
Okay, last but not least.
Legacy.
This one feels kind of big,
It does.
but I think it's important for all of us.
I agree.
It's not about being famous or rich.
It's about the impact you have
Yeah.
on the people around you.
Like, what do you want to be remembered for?
Exactly.
What kind of mark do you want to leave?
And it starts with living a life you're proud of,
Yeah. Being true to yourself,
following your passions,
helping others,
making a difference.
and sharing your story.
Yes. Passing on your wisdom.
Yeah. So it's not just about what you do.
Right.
It's about who you are.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up,
Yes.
think about the legacy you want to create.
What do you want to leave behind?
How do you want to be remembered?
And what can you do today
Yeah.
to start building that legacy?
Because it's never too late
Never too late.
to make a difference.
That's right.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I hope this has given you some food for thought
Me too.
and inspired you to dive deeper
Keep exploring.
to these topics on your own.
And keep those connections strong.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.
See you next time.